Tomorrow, the Texas House is formally set to consider the bill containing controversial new congressional maps, despite Democrats' efforts to stop Republicans to move forward with it. One Democratic state lawmaker, Nicole Collier says she is locked inside the state capitol because she refused to sign a document agreeing to police escort home. Here's what she had to say.
Look, I'm not a criminal. I've exercised my right, and I am tired of the government controlling our movement. And so this is nothing more than the government exercising their control over people who exercise their constitutional rights to resist. The Democrats who did sign the permission slip are under 24-hour surveillance by DPS.
And joining me now is investigative reporter for the Austin American-Statesman, Tony Plahetsky. Tony, thank you so much for being here. I know you've been covering all of this story very closely, and at many stages it has been quite a spectacle here. But now that we have both Democrats back, Republicans there, we have one Democrat not leaving the state house at all. What are you hearing from lawmakers there about what's going to happen next?
Well, Trevor, I want to tell you, just within the last few minutes, 8 additional prominent House Democrats were set to participate in what they are calling a Rip the Slip ceremony at the state capitol just within the last few minutes. And they are set to also spend the night in the Capitol, in the House chamber tonight, saying that they want to join their fellow lawmaker and, frankly, in their words, not being oppressed by law enforcement. They say that the way law enforcement has been, in their words, surveilling them since they returned home is wildly inappropriate. It's an inappropriate use of law enforcement, they say, number one, but perhaps more importantly to them, they say it's an infringement on their rights. So it's going to be a long night inside that House chamber for a number of those lawmakers tonight.
It is an interesting twist that we went from Democrats leaving the state, not wanting to go anywhere near the Capitol building, to now effectively a sit-in, from what you're saying here. A number of these different representatives that say that they won't leave. And we did hear from State Representative Nicole Collier. She spoke with our Alex Prochet about all of this. We want to hear a little bit of what she had to say.
What I've seen since then is the repeated efforts to ignore the voices of the minority party. They don't care if we object. They're not willing to listen to what we have to say. And I'm tired of being ignored. They're going to hear me, and they're going to hear me loud and clear, and they need to hear from the people. We want them to put flood relief first, and then we will take up the fight on the maps. But show the people of Texas that you believe in them and that you're there for them instead of doing what Trump has directed you to do.
Well, on that subject of hearing from the people, Tony, what are you hearing from voters there in Texas, both to what Representative Collier is doing and also this entire saga?
Trevor, I've got to tell you that most people, be it the Uber driver or the service provider that I've been talking to over the past several weeks here in Austin, where I live, but also in other parts of the state, the truth is this is not a priority item for them. And many of them, candidly, don't even know about this redistricting issue. But what they do know unequivocally is that 130 plus people died in a flood in the early morning hours of July 4th here in Texas. And so for them, the priority items are really the state trying to do something to, number one, provide relief to those victims, but in addition to that, putting measures in place that would better prepare the state for similar natural disasters in the future. When you talk to people on the ground, that is priority one for them. They don't fully understand or comprehend or frankly even care about this redistricting battle, though Democrats will also tell you it has been good for their support that they have resoundingly heard from their constituents, particularly that Democratic voter base who seem to be really appreciating and supporting the measures that they are taking, including tonight staying in the Capitol.
Having been on the ground in the Texas Hill Country myself, I heard a lot of those refrains from voters there about wanting to see some changes to protect people against natural disasters. Tony, this redistricting fight, though, has become national here, not just Texas. We've got California, Illinois looking at it as well. I know that you've said that lawmakers from both sides are kind of using this to fuel their resumes. How do you think they're doing that?
Lawmakers have said, Democrats who left, that this was a priority item for them, that they wanted to put a bright red spotlight on this issue. But at the same time, they have also made their points front and center as well. And in doing so, in many instances, have bolstered their own name recognition among voters, not only here in Texas, but potentially even across the country. On the flip side of that, Trevor, we've seen Republicans here in Texas, specifically the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, go after those Democrats who left in really unique ways. Legally, for example, trying to have them removed from office. He, of course, is now in a very contentious Senate race against John Cornyn. And so we have seen both parties and officials from both sides of the political aisle really using this opportunity, frankly, to position themselves in some instances for current or potentially future runs.
Tony Plahetsky for us. Thank you for your time. Thanks for your reporting as well, Tony. And we want to bring this story.
Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you. We want to bring this story to the big story to our panel. Joining us today, ABC News contributor, former chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, John Katko. We have independent journalist and attorney Aaron Parnas. We have former assistant secretary for public affairs at the Department of Homeland Security, Marcia Espinoza, and former GOP national spokesperson, Elizabeth Pipko. Thank you all for being here. Looking forward to hearing your perspectives. John, I want to start with you here. I know that you've said that this redistricting effort in Texas is going to open the door for blue states. We've already heard that response from California's governor, Illinois as well. I guess my question is, where does it go beyond this? Are we going to look at every single state redistricting, you think?
Yeah, and that's why I said in my notes earlier today, be careful what you wish for in Texas, because you're opening Pandora's box, because now you're giving an excuse for everybody to do what you're doing. That's not a good idea, and that's not a good thing to do. You know, when something Tony said when you were talking to him earlier really struck me, and that was the average person really doesn't know about this. So this to me is just legislators on both sides of the aisle abdicating the responsibility to all the people, not just the people in their party, not just the people who elect them, everybody. And so when you get in these partisan redistricting fights, it just reinforces the partisanship. And the average Joe who's trying to make a living, going to work every day, they don't want to see this nonsense. They want to see progress. They want to see people working together. And you know what? They're failing the American people when they do this stuff. But it's going to get worse. There's no doubt.
Aaron, I believe you said gerrymandering is a race to the bottom. What do you mean by that?
It is.
Yes.
And John's completely right. Now that Texas has started this, California is going to continue it. Then you're going to have other blue states and other red states doing it until you have a country that is completely gerrymandered. And ultimately, when gerrymandering occurs, people lose their voice because people's votes don't matter as much. Good candidates don't run in critical races. And at the end of the day, elections simply become moot in a lot of places because Democrats can run easily or Republicans can run easily and win. So it really is a race to the bottom. And I hope that Texas Republicans don't go through with this, so that California Democrats don't go through with it on their end. But ultimately, it looks like, at least right now, we're on the path towards gerrymandering in Texas.
We are, of course, also following State Representative Nicole Collier says she's locked in the Texas State House, Marcia. And from what we just heard from Tony Plahetsky, that Texas reporter, he says more Democratic representatives, state representatives, are going to be joining her. What's your reaction to hearing that?
Well, Democrats are taking a stand and they're making their voices heard loud and clear. They have to do something to show what their constituents actually want, which is not redistricting. The majority of people, you're right, want to see lower cost of groceries or actual, relief for the Texas floods, which happened over 40 some days ago, which the governor has still not spent a dollar on when he could do so. Yet they're spending resources and DPS on detaining members. It's just gotten out of hand. And let's remember why we're here. These charades aren't about Texans. They're about Donald Trump. He said he wants more Republican seats, and Governor Abbott is doing his bidding instead of actually doing his job. So all of this it's not only unconstitutional, but y'all are right. It's going to set a very bad precedence for other states. This is normally done after a census, not just because we want more seats.
Elizabeth, it does look like Texas Republicans are going to go through with this and relatively quickly. What do you think happens? What's the next step after that?
You know, it's interesting because we've talked about this on this show for now a couple of weeks. I think we're all wondering what's the next step, and I think we're all pretty sure it's going to continue to spiral. I think California is obviously next, and we'll look at states like Florida, Indiana, Illinois, New York. I mean, there's a lot of states on the map, some very gerrymandered already, but there's room for even more. The fact is it's going to continue. It might be a race to the bottom. Aaron might be right, but the fact is it's only going to continue. It started a long time ago. This is politics. No one stood up and said anything when Illinois started to be gerrymandered a long time ago. We're making a big story about it because Donald Trump is president, but this is how the game is played in America. We're all very aware of that. And I wish we could go back and change the entire system. But the fact is that's where we are right now. More than likely, this is going to continue, not just in Texas, not just in California, but around the country as well.
Aaron, I would like to circle back with you because you are also an attorney, and there are some laws against explicit gerrymandering. We've seen some of these redistricting maps that have been challenged. Is this something that we expect can hold up when a state, Texas or California, redraws their map explicitly to try to take all the power into one political party's hands?
I mean, you would hope not, but with this United States Supreme Court, I mean, we've seen over the past several years that this court, the Roberts Court specifically, has been open to allowing kind of these more gerrymandered maps kind of to stand up. And I mean, the Roberts Court is going to consider the future of the Voting Rights Act and whether you could even have racial majority districts run in states across the country in a term. So I would not put it past this court to uphold gerrymandered maps, whether it's in California or Texas or anywhere else. I will note, though, however, that the California situation is a little different because that's being voted on by the people of California rather than just legislators doing it on their own in Texas. So it's a little different. The legalities are a little different. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Okay.